Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to Gaming and day 2 of RPG a Day. If you're interested in the RPG a Day videos not just being made by myself, do type in hashtag RPG a Day into YouTube and you should find plenty of videos not just by me but by other YouTubers. This video is regarding the best session in which I played since August 2015. And I had to have a think about this before recording because I've played in quite a few. And it goes back to the game I was saying about in my What Are You Playing video, or one of them, the Shadowrun campaign. That concluded around 3 or 4 months ago, I guess. That particular game really reignited my love for Shadowrun in my eyes, and for no better reason than the GM was absolutely fantastic. He was very accommodating to everything that we sought out to do, no more so than in the first session. You see, our mission as Shadowrunners was quite a simple one. We were very low-rung Shadowrunners. Our objective, assigned to us by our Mr. Johnson contact, who you could never trust, of course, in Shadowrun, was to prevent the transfer of some cargo from a ship in the Seattle docks to someone who would be waiting for it at the docks. We were to acquire the cargo for ourselves and deliver it to a target assigned by the Johnson once we had picked it up. Now, the way we decided to do this was by posing as donut salesmen. I know it's not the most obvious subterfuge, but what we did was break into one of the 3 major donut and bakery businesses in Seattle and hijack one of their vans, specifically one with a massive illuminated donut on the roof through which pumped real molten jam or jelly, as you would in America. We had a lot of fun trying to steal that beneath the noses of the people who actually ran the business, and we wanted such a cover so that we could get onto the docks and make it out that we were selling things to the stevedores rather than smuggling our way onto there and running the risk of actually being captured or identified as ne'er-do-wells, which is of course what we are. My character, Sergio Chang, an elven combat decker of mixed Aztlan and Chinese heritage, was somewhat of a ruthless individual. He was definitely the face of the group, but that very wealthy, had some very expensive equipment. And I don't believe it was just me, but I certainly pushed for us to play the game for ourselves rather than for the Johnson who was hiring us, despite knowing the danger that would come with that. What I suggested was that if we could identify the ship that this cargo was on, that we take it, and if we could find the person who was due to be picking it up and paying for it, we kill them and take whatever money they were going to use to exchange for the cargo. So this is what we set out to do, and we did identify who it was that we needed to off and the ship from which we needed to pick up this cargo. Sadly, the person who we had to off and his accomplice, we killed them in short order. I electronically locked the van full of their armed security guards and controlled it using my deck, I guess, to drive itself into the sea, drowning all of its inhabitants. So things are already turning somewhat morally, shall we say, grey. And we'd already taken the cred stick that one of these contacts was going to use to pay for the cargo. It was around this time that we realised that we didn't know how this cargo was going to be transferred to these individuals, what signal they were going to give to the people on the ship, how they were going to present themselves, or the like. We managed to get into the matrix and actually find out from this individual's records the method they intended to use, which was by sending up a flare that would match a flare shot up by someone on board the ship. Sadly, those flares were in the dashboard, the glove compartment of the van that I had sent careening into the sea. So we had killed, I think it was a total of 8 people. 6 armed personnel, 2 potential civilians. We had a cred stick that, when analysed, it turned out it had somewhere like 100 million new yen on. And of course, cred sticks, on the face of it, are untraceable. They are liquid money. However, this one, it transpired, was in fact owned by UCAS, not the University Board, but the United States, I think it's Air Service, Colonial Air Service maybe, basically the American military. We had killed an admiral and another ranking officer. All of a sudden we were in possession of a massive amount of currency and guilty of murdering some very important individuals. The remainder of that session was us hiding out desperately in Seattle, trying to wrap up loose ends before we went and fled. We decided to take various methods of public transport, including buses. I mean, can you imagine, across America? Initially, we were going to go to the free city of Denver, and then we immediately switched direction and decided to go to Las Vegas instead, because we thought, how are we going to launder this money? We had already tried the cred stick out in an ATM to essentially see whether we could pay for something. No, it was a vending machine, and ran away shortly after doing it because helicopters, military police and the like suddenly showed up to handle us. Luckily they didn't find us, but it was quite clear that this money was hot. We decided the best route would be to get it to a casino where we could actually gamble the money, turn it clean, and make off with our 100 million yen split 3 ways. That was the number of runners within our particular gang. And so that was the first session. Our initial objective of just picking up some cargo and transferring it to our Johnson was, I know, very juvenile, isn't it? Was immediately disrupted by the personal objectives of the player characters, including my own. The GM accommodated this fantastically. He didn't quibble, he didn't try and force us, railroad us into the plot he initially had in mind. He allowed us to do what we went to do and potentially suffer the repercussions, but we were actually quite clever. We avoided the attention of the military, avoided the attention of Lone Star and everyone else that was after us. We were very sparing with the use of our cash so that we couldn't just be traced financially. And we escaped Seattle almost as soon as the crime was perpetrated. So that's my favourite session since August 2015, since the last RPG a day month. And yeah, I've played in many, many good games since then. But this one really takes the cake as the opening to a campaign that must rank up there for me as one of the best campaigns I've ever played in. So thank you very much for watching, and see you for RPG Day 3.